Well, you know, this talk is called antithesis, and the whole talk is about why it's called antithesis. So at the end of it, it will all be hopefully clear. So it's basically just 4 sentences, and the whole thing is woven around those 4 sentences. This is the first sentence, that there are and always will be places in the world where, for whatever reason, good schools don't exist and good teachers don't want to go. It's kind of obvious that there has to be such places. The background over there is the Sundarbans Delta of the Ganges, where the Ganges meets the sea. And what you have inside are lots of children, Royal Bengal tigers, and crocodiles. So, you know, it's not often that a good teacher would like to volunteer to go and teach there. So they don't have teachers inside. But then, should we just leave them alone, or should we educate them, and if so, how? But firstly, well, this is kind of an extreme example, but are there other examples of places where teachers don't want to go? So I tried a little experiment on remoteness. This was about a couple of years ago, and using Google, I figured out a way out of New Delhi, heading into rural northern India, avoiding all the cities, avoiding all big metropolitan areas, and going deeper and deeper into rural India. And we rented a car and sort of went down this route, about 300 kilometers. Every time we saw a school, a primary school, we would stop, and we would give the children a very simple test of English, science, and mathematics. And then we brought all this data back to Delhi, totaled the marks up, and simply plotted it against the distance from Delhi. And this is what we got. So the question is, why? The schools are all equivalent. They're government funded. They have the same money, they have the same resources, they have the same facilities, usually a similar number of children. Why then does the performance get worse and worse? We could have thought of many reasons. The city reasoning is that you know, rural children, they're dumb, so they can't learn anything. Of course, we know that that's probably not true. The teachers, well, there are teachers everywhere. So I couldn't find any correlation with anything about why these marks are the way they are, except for one factor. We asked the teachers in each of these schools one question, which is, would you like to work somewhere else? And this is what they said. Right up close to Delhi, the downward pointing arrows are no, and the upward pointing arrows are yes, we would like to go somewhere else. Just outside of Delhi, they said we don't want to move anywhere else because this is a nice posh suburb of Delhi, we are quite happy here. Just a little bit out, they said yes, we would like to go to those posh suburbs and teach there rather than teaching over here. Now this here is an anomaly. About 100 kilometers outside of Delhi, I couldn't avoid a situation that completely surrounds Delhi. These are the great big call centers. Okay, so every time you get you know, tortured by BT, it's generally coming from somewhere here. So I couldn't avoid that. They are very rich, very posh, huge areas, and the teachers said, no, this is fantastic. We are very happy here. We don't want to go.
Names of those places?
Those places, well, Gurgaon, Noida, and you know, Mark is quite familiar with all of this, or will be shortly. So it sort of stretches out from 100 to about 150 kilometers outside of Delhi. And then at 200 kilometers out of Delhi, everybody said, we wish we were somewhere else. And that seemed to explain what was happening over here. So a primary teacher, when she stands, and it's usually a she, when she stands in front of a class and thinks to herself, I wish I was somewhere else, the children don't do very well. That seemed to be the only answer I could get here. But then I came to England around the time I was doing this, and I said, now this is an ideal opportunity. Now here's a developed country where that disparity of social facilities does not exist. The rural areas will have almost everything the urban areas have. So therefore, this problem should not exist in England. I looked at the primary school results of England and found that the school results were not uniform. There were some schools doing very well, some schools doing very badly. So I started looking for what the correlation could be for this country. As I had expected, it had nothing to do with geography. It wasn't that you get to more remote areas and you get worse schools. But it did relate. I found the correlation I was looking for in 10 days' time. It related to this. GCSE results related to the density of council housing. And it was a statistically significant result. I took the data out of Northeast and I found out which were these densely, dense council housing areas, and I went there. And I got exactly the same response as I got from the rural school teachers. This primary school teacher said, every morning when I walk into this school, I wish I was somewhere else. Okay, and the same result. So now what do the two governments do to solve this problem, both the Indian government and the British government? They invest a lot of money in teacher training to improve the quality of the teachers who go to those areas. What is the result? Those trained teachers find it even easier to find a job in a better school. So it doesn't solve the problem, it just worsens it. So I got this result. The quality of traditional elementary education reduces with remoteness in all senses of the term. In India, it's geographic remoteness. In England, it's socio-economic remoteness. In America, it can be ethnic remoteness, religious remoteness. In the Middle East, everywhere in civilization, there are areas where good teachers don't want to go for one reason or the other. So then what do we do? What can technology do for that?